Some football matches finish with celebrations. Others finish in complete quiet. But every now and then a tournament does not just bring a campaign to a close. It brings an era to a close. In 2026, football did not simply lose Portugal and Brazil from the competition. It said goodbye to Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar. Two players, two countries, two careers that between them gave the people watching more than most generations of football fans get to see in a lifetime. They came to the 2026 World Cup carrying different things with them. Ronaldo came carrying the weight of a country that had spent 20 years building everything it believed about itself in football around one person. A nation that had followed him from a 17-year-old doing things with the ball that did not look learnable all the way to the most individually decorated player the sport has produced. A nation that understood, even if the words were never actually said, that this was the final time it would get to watch him do this. Neymar arrived carrying something else entirely. He carried the difficult weight of being the player Brazil decided would hold the ground Pelé left empty. Not in what he could do with a ball, nobody holds that ground. In what he was supposed to mean, in what he was expected to deliver, in the particular pressure of being the one Brazilian the whole country turned to and said, "You are the one." That weight had cost him things across the years, time lost to injuries, controversies that followed him, tournaments that opened with real belief and closed far earlier than they were supposed to. But he came back once more for this specific thing. The similarities between them are not things football sits down and engineers. They are things the sport keeps arriving at on its own. Both came into the game at more or less the same point in time. Both had people talking about them as the kind of talent that comes around once before they had actually fully become that thing yet. Both built careers inside arguments, Ronaldo against Messi, Neymar against everything Pelé represented, that were never particularly reasonable to place on either of them, but that turned up in every stadium they ever entered regardless. And both walked into the 2026 World Cup with something they almost certainly never said to anyone, but felt in every day of preparation, every session, every moment of stillness before a match actually started. That this was the last one. Ronaldo played at his 6th World Cup in 2026. No outfield player in the entire history of the competition had stood on a World Cup pitch that many times before him. He got on the scoresheet in the group stage. Portugal came through. The draw opened up in a way that looked, just for a short while, like it might finally produce the one thing a career that had collected everything else had somehow never managed to deliver. Then Spain came along. And it ended. Not with any single dramatic moment, no red card, no penalty striking the post in the last seconds of extra time. Spain did what Spain have always done to teams that cannot find an answer to them, and Portugal could not find one. When the final whistle went, Ronaldo was standing on the pitch with Spanish players moving and celebrating all around him, and he stayed where he was without moving for a long time. The cameras picked him out the way they always pick him out when something significant is happening to him. And the expression on his face was not what you see on someone who feels they have been treated unjustly. It was something that sat below that. The look of a man who has understood that something is finished and is standing still while he tries to work out what to do with that. Neymar's ending came in a different shape. Brazil went out the way the sport delivers its hardest verdicts when 90 minutes and extra time have not been enough to settle things. Penalties. Neymar took his and scored it. He has always scored when it has come to that. But when the last Brazilian kick of the tournament went the wrong way and it was over, the camera found him standing in the center circle with both hands flat across his face, and his body moving in a way that communicated everything there was to communicate without requiring a single word from anyone. He had returned from injuries serious enough to have ended the careers of most players who experienced them. He had held the expectations of an entire country on his back for 15 years. He had spent every last thing he had left to spend. And it had fallen short. Not because of any lack in him, there was no lack in him. But because football does not arrange itself around giving extraordinary players the endings they have done enough to deserve. What the two of them leave behind when you strip everything back is not a record book. Records are what you go to when you are trying to put a shape on something that has finished. What Ronaldo and Neymar leave behind is something closer to a sensation. The sensation of watching a person do something with a football that makes you pause and reconsider what you thought the sport was capable of showing you. Ronaldo, across 20 years, made the defenders trying to stop him look like they were positioned somewhere the ball was never going to arrive. Neymar, across 15, made the ball look like it was engaged in the same thought process as his feet. Neither of those things live in a column of numbers anywhere. They live in the precise recollection of particular moments that the people who happen to be watching at the time will keep somewhere in them for the rest of their lives. Football moves forward. Other players will arrive. Some of them will be capable of things that are genuinely not possible to anticipate yet. But the specific experience of watching these two men at the same World Cup, while knowing it was the last occasion that would ever be available, was something that belonged only to 2026 and has no repeat scheduled. When Portugal and Brazil made their way home, the sport did not simply lose two names from its current player list. It lost a version of itself that had been in circulation for 20 years. The version in which Ronaldo and Neymar were still active. In which you could still sit down for a World Cup match and find yourself feeling something in the region of what you felt the very first time you saw either of them produce something that your brain told you was not within the available options. That version is no longer running, and the sport that continues will be a different one because of it. Not lesser necessarily, just different in a way that resists being given a tidy description. If you felt that difference in the moment they each walked off the pitch in 2026, put something below in the comments. And subscribe. Because the moments in football that close something down permanently are always the ones that are worth sitting with long enough to tell them the right way. New video every single day.